2, 1.
7 things you probably didn't know you need to know. I'm Jamie East, and this is the Smart 7.
Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday the 24th of January and it's National Peanut Butter Day. And a big happy birthday to Jules Holland, Vic Reeves, Neil Diamond and Misha Barton. A new opinion poll shows Rishi Sunak's popularity at an all-time low, as his Tory party appear to be drowning in multiple sleaze cases, and, unsurprisingly, Boris Johnson's at the forefront of it all after fresh questions about his finances. Even a flying visit to the Ukraine couldn't quiet the claims that the chairman of the BBC helped Boris Johnson secure a loan guarantee weeks before the then Prime Minister recommended him for the role. Boris, of course, denied there was a conflict of interest in his appointment of Richard Sharp and had a few choice words for the BBC, even though it was the Sunday Times that broke the story.
Richard Sharp is a good and a wise man, but he knows absolutely nothing about my personal finances. I can tell you that for 100% ding-dang sure. This is just another example of the BBC disappearing up its own fundament.
Meanwhile, former Chancellor Nadeem Zahawi remains under pressure after it was revealed he paid a penalty to HMRC over unpaid tax amid a multi-million-pound dispute. Rishi Sunak denies he knew anything about it and has asked an ethics advisor to look into it. But Labour's Jonathan Reynolds seems to think the situation's pretty clear-cut.
I'm old-fashioned in my view that if you want to be the Chancellor of the Exchequer, you should have paid all your taxes when you want to take that job, as you shouldn't send threatening letters, lawyers' letters to people who make reasonable queries as to whether you have done so.
Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer says this cycle of scandals does not bode well for the Tories.
But I think for many people who are struggling with all of the pressures that come about because of 13 years of failure, they'll be looking at a government saying, we've got scandal story after scandal story. What they want is a government that's delivering, and they haven't got that.
Ambulance workers have staged their third strike in 5 weeks amid their ongoing dispute over pay. Around 15,000 Unison members were set to walk out, joined by 5,000 NHS colleagues at 2 hospital trusts in Liverpool. Meanwhile, further strikes are planned in the coming weeks by nurses and other NHS workers. And Sharon Graham from Unite says there's still no offer on the table.
It's been 5 weeks since Unite last went out on strike, and we have had not one offer from the government. And so therefore what I'm calling on today is for Rishi Sunak to come out of hiding and start negotiating on this particular dispute.
And Sarah Gordon from Unison says it feels like Jeremy Hunt's preventing a deal.
It feels like the blockage is at the Chancellor's level, which is really ironic because Jeremy Hunt, only a few short months ago was writing reports as chair of the Select Committee talking about the investment that's needed to resolve the workforce emergency in the NHS.
Tensions are mounting in the EU as Germany continues to block the export of Leopard tanks to the Ukraine. Ukraine's been calling on the West to provide the German-made tanks, which they say will help them defeat Russia, with Poland amongst the nations keen to provide them. Now Germany's Foreign Minister Anna Baerbock has said she would not stand in the way of Poland if it were to send Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine. But it seems Poland's not yet formally requested permission, even as President Zelensky's reiterated the urgency.
I believe it's not the right time for bargaining. It's time for survival. We need to survive.
Meanwhile, ex-British Army Chief Lord Dannatt had some strong words for the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz.
I would say this is your opportunity, which in the last 110 years you've had a rather negative effect on European security. This is your chance to get it right.
A second mass shooting's taken place in Northern California, just days after 11 people were killed in an attack in Monterey. 7 people were killed in 2 separate attacks in the Half Moon Bay agricultural area, just 30 miles south of San Francisco. An 8th person's been hospitalised with life-threatening injuries. The suspect, 67-year-old Asian man Chunil Zhao, was taken into custody by police shortly after the incidents occurred. Christina Corpus is the sheriff with San Mateo County.
Through investigation, the suspect, identified as Chung Li Zhao, a 67-year-old Half Moon Bay resident. What we can tell you is that, we know that he acted alone at this time, and that, we're working with our district attorney's office at this time to interview the suspect.
Still to come on the Smart 7, Frank Lampard's out at Everton and Michael J. Fox is back in the past. Right after this. Welcome back. 3.
Monday saw Frank Lampard sacked as Everton manager. His side are currently 19th in the Premier League table with only 3 wins this season. This weekend saw fans protest after a 2-0 loss at West Ham, and for Lampard, 11 defeats in 14 games meant it was all over. There was only one game in the Premier League on Monday night as Fulham took on Spurs. It ended 1-0 to Spurs with a goal from Harry Kane that saw him equal Jimmy Greaves' all-time scoring record for Tottenham. He spoke to Sky after the game and was glad to get the win.
A tough game, really important 3 points for us today, coming off the back of the last 2 results. So not an easy place to come. We're playing against a really good side who are only one spot behind us. So we dug deep. It was a tough week, but a great clean sheet and a good 1-0 win.
Michael J. Fox's new movie Still has premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, and it's receiving some glowing reviews so far with a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The Hollywood star, known for Going Back to the Future, is the subject of the film, which looks back at the actor's life, career and his experiences living with Parkinson's. Fox, who was diagnosed in 1991, has raised millions of dollars through his foundation for research into the disease.
Stuff's happening and there's a lot to enjoy in life.
The director, Davis Guggenheim, was full of praise for his star.
When he was at the height of his fame and the height of his power and the height of his success, fate gave him this thing, which is called Parkinson's, and how he chose to deal with that is a lesson for all of us.
Just when you thought the genre of video game turned Hollywood movie had reached its peak, there's more. The new trailer for Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves has just dropped. The adaptation of the iconic game created by E. Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson in 1974 features a star-studded cast with Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez and Regé-Jean Page. The movie, which hit cinemas in March, isn't just battles and special effects, it's got a sense of humour too.
We're thieves, but we help the wrong person steal the wrong thing and unleash the greatest evil the world has ever known.
The Red Wizards created an army of the undead.
Sounds lovely.
Quite the opposite.
I know, I was being ironic.
I find irony is a blade that cuts he who wields it most especially.
You're not a lot of fun, are you?
This has been The Smart 7. Wherever you're listening, do us a favour and hit the follow button. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Have a great day.
Written, produced and published by Daft Doris.